Hello guys and girls, how you going? Mark Hummer here again. We're going to be talking about camera accessories and all sorts of gear and equipment that just makes photography and videography a bit more of a joy. Sometimes it's those little accessories and clips and brackets you buy that can make it just a dream to use everything without fumbling around and making a mess of it all. Now I do have other things to talk about today, such as a Speedlight bracket up here, a 4x one, which is very interesting for me. I've got some cotton carrier accessories I'd like to talk to you about as well too, and various other bits and pieces I've found useful. But initially we're going to talk about, I'm going to finish off basically the cotton carrier system that I spoke about in my last video. And of course, as you know from that, what we were doing is we were slotting it into the vest, and it just became, your hands were free and it was supporting the camera comfortably, and it was a great way of moving your gear around and having it quick and accessible. But on that theme, I was showing you how that on the bottom of the camera there was these little mounts that you screw on, and that's how you slot it into your vest. And it was a bit of a problem because it's in the way of your Arco Swiss mounts. If you want to quickly go onto a tripod, well, then you couldn't because this bolt was in the way, and that was a little bit of a nuisance. I mean, it was only an Allen key screw to undo it, but at the same time, it's just another fiddly thing you had to deal with. But Cotton Carrier and their sheer brilliance have come up with a design, a little accessory, and it does come in the kit. I should have actually mentioned it in the last video. I just was distracted and forgot to. So I thought I'd bring it up now. Now you can see it mounted to the bottom of the camera here, and I'll just bring it upside down and make sure it's in the light so you can actually pick up what's going on. But what you have is, it's a combination now, Arco Swiss mount / cotton carrier tab. So they build it all in one with a little nice firm rubber mount there underneath it to stop it damaging or slipping or hurting your camera. So it's one little Allen key to mount it, so it's very simple. And once that's on, you've got the best of both worlds in one hit. So now what you can do is, of course, you can slot it into the vest, sideways, click, lock, as you always did. But at the same time, you take the camera off and you want it onto a tripod, and I'll just illustrate how quick and easy this can be. I have a minor little mini tripod here just for illustrations purposes. Put that down here, and now with the use of the Arco Swiss bracket, you can very quickly put your camera on, slot it in. If I can just get it there we are, and as you can see, here's your camera, slot it onto a tripod, and you're ready to go. So isn't that a great idea that you can now, I'll just turn that around so you can probably see it. I'll bring it closer to my chest actually. If I bring it closer to my chest, you'll see what's going on, but you see it there. You can see here you've got the little cotton carrier to one side and the Arco Swiss mount to the other, and that way you can quickly flick from one to another. So if you need access to a tripod quickly, but you still want to use the cotton carrier system, this is a perfect answer. That little bracket that they provide, I'll show you a little photo of it in detail a little later on. But isn't that a great idea? I thought that was very impressive. Anything that makes your day easier and less fiddling around or having to take bits and pieces off, I always say the better, because that's where accidents happen and you lose bits and pieces and you drop stuff. Now, while we're talking about this tripod, I was actually mentioning this is a Lefrotto tripod, and I've actually really liked all their products. I've got quite a few of their accessories now. They're all, the ones I'm buying are all carbon fibre. The graphite composite material is extremely strong and very, very light. And this is only a very tiny version. I have this one because it's great for hiking. So it's still very strong. It'll take 6 to 8 pounds, I think, of weight on it. So it's quite a sturdy camera tripod. But it's just very light. You can fit it into a camera bag or just carry it around on your hip or something with a little strap, and it's just great to have with you on the pinch, particularly if you're taking long exposure photos, for example, or you just want to put your camera down somewhere safely. So as you can see, it does fold away quite compact, but of course, the legs all extend out and you can get it quite long. Now, if you're ever worried about the length of it, you think, oh, it's just not going to be quite long enough and I would like it to be a little bit taller, they have these accessories here, and you'll have to excuse me, I'll get my glasses on so I can read the fine print. Here we have a Leofoto, it's the same brand as the little tripod. It's made out of the same material, and this is a DC 282C, that's the code. Now, there are actually multiple sizes, bigger and smaller. I've chosen this one because it's the middle of the range one. And what I find is interesting about these is the little extension brackets. See that there? So it's just a twist of a little screw like a tripod leg, and out it extends. So you can of course add this very quickly to your tripod, and now you've got an extra couple of feet in height. So if you're worried it wasn't long enough, that's a great alternative to be able to make sure that you've got the extra height whenever you need it. And of course it's all adjustable in little segments, and it unscrews very quickly with each other. And so you can collapse it down as big or as small as you want. And I found that a great little accessory. I have 6 of these little accessories, and I can make them as tall as I want or have them on several tripods at once. So having the nice little compact Lefrotto tripod is fantastic, and those little accessory extension brackets as well, brilliant. That all folds up. Look how small this all folds up. You know, this would go 7 feet tall, and yet it's a tiny little package that you can whack into your camera bag. That's just awesome. I love that stuff. So Lefrotto, brilliant, great design. They're very clever people. They know what they're doing. It's not the cheapest accessories in the world, but boy, you're not going to be disappointed with the quality and the functionality. And just an example on that, while we're talking about it, is they give you this little accessory when you buy their kits, and I love this. It looks like a bottle opener, which of course it is. It is actually a little bottle opener. If you're out and you need to open a bottle of Coke or something, you can. But apart from that, you can see it has multiple little Allen keys. So you end up with, like, I think it is a 3 and a 5 and a 6 mil for various different applications. Now, where is this thing useful? Well, it's great because it's a little clip, you see. So you can just put it on your belt buckle or your camera bag or in your camera bag or pocket. It's quite small, light and plastic. It's not harsh or in any way annoying. And what the beauty of this thing is here is you've always got some accessories with you. So when you're mounting things to the base of your camera, sometimes, yes, you need an Allen key, which now you have. I've got an Allen key available whenever I need it without fumbling around looking for it. Also, though, you have a flat screwdriver attachment at the base. Sometimes your screws are flat screwdriver type. Let me illustrate something like this. Now, you've all seen these where you mount them to your bottom of your camera. It's the screw for mounting, and it's just a flat little slot. You see that? Well, an Allen key is going to be no good to you there. But that's where, of course, this will be perfect, because now you can use that little accessory and you can tighten up those screws. So whether they be 3/8 screws or the little tiny 1/4 ones, which are probably the most common for your cameras, if you've just got a slot. This one here is quite interesting because it has both Allen key and the slot screwdriver style. Makes it very versatile. But there you go, you got that, or again, that, and this little accessory that Leofoto give you for free, and something that you can easily just clip onto your camera bag or your pocket, your belt buckles or whatever you want to put it, and it's light and weighs nothing. But it's great to have a little mini toolbox with you. So isn't that clever of them? So, you know, A+ to them. I think they're a wonderful little company. Again, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but if I buy something and I think it's good and I like it, I think it's great value, I'm going to give it the thumbs up and promote it to someone. So that's really what I wanted to go with you about. There was one minor detail I'd also want to talk about with the cotton carrier system. And look, not everybody's using a 70-200 all the time. Very often you're using something like this, which is basically a prime lens. And as you can see, it has no collar. So no collar means you can't mount it any other way than using the camera. But when you do have a collar on your lens, let's say you have a long zoom, you can always, of course, put your cotton carrier mount to that collar. And once that's collared and tightened, then you can support the whole camera via the collar. And then, of course, you don't even need these brackets at the bottom. You can just either have no bracket at all, your old bracket, you can have your either Manfrotto style or your Arco Swiss style mount on the bottom, and it's not affecting anyway because you don't have this obstacle. So just keep that in mind, that if you are using a 70-200 or any sort of long zoom, you can choose to mount that cotton carrier system to the collar, and that will support the weight. There's another option as well to free up your camera and your mounts for tripods. So there are multiple options. I hope you're finding that interesting, or at least I feel comfortable now that I've explained all the options that are out there, because I know eventually someone will post a comment and say, you missed this thing. Well, no, I had it, I knew about it, and I just wanted to have time to explain it all to you in detail. So the other thing we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to have to stand up for this one, is we're going to talk about my little friend here, my little AMBITFUL flash mount. And you can see I've got 4 Speedlights here, and I'm going to illustrate how it all comes together and why I would even want this thing in the first place. So bear with me while I get up and reposition the camera so I can do that. Hi guys and girls, how you going? Mark Hummer here. Now we're talking here about this beautiful 4 Speedlight bracket. Now I bought this one because it was particularly amazing. It had a lot of features, a lot of versatility that I thought were incredible. I've used 3-way ones before that were fixed in position, but this gives me a lot more flexibility and a bit more power as well. So elevating from a 3-way to now a 4-way gives me obviously a third more light power. So I'm very happy about that. The advantage of this one here is for twofold. So if I'm in a studio, obviously I can use mains powered professional Speedlights and it's not a problem. You know, if I want to plug them in, have them recycle quickly, endlessly powered in a studio, that's fantastic. The application for this one here though is really for being out in the field. So let's say I'm in a park or a garden, I'm taking wedding photos in a beautiful garden, maybe portrait photos somewhere in the bush, and you just haven't got access to mains power. So you need to take Speedlights with you, and sometimes you just don't want 1 Speedlight, or even 2 is not enough. You may need 4. If you're doing a large group photo, let's say there are maybe 10 or more people in the shot, you're really going to need a lot of flash power because you've got to cover quite an area. Also, if it's dark or, you know, maybe night time or evening, early morning, you need to just know that you can control and have as much light as you require at the time to be able to turn that up or turn it down where necessary. And this just gave me the options that I could do that. Now, it doesn't look much like this. Let me assemble it up. I'm going to put these speed lights. As you can see, I've got speed lights here with remote triggers. I'm going to put all these on top of the unit, and I'll fast forward to that because that's just a little bit fiddly. I'll put one. So here we are, guys. I've got it all set up and got the 4 speed lights on it. As you can see here, it's called AMBITFUL. That's the mount here that goes onto your, I'm using a tripod in this instance. Of course, you can use a light stand. I use tripods because at this time we're illustrating the effect of being out on site. So if you're out in lumpy ground, it could be in a park or a garden or something, you can't always guarantee you're going to get a flat surface like in a studio. So the tripod just enables me to have this always at a good balance, and I can extend one leg or retract one when necessary to get level ground. So I think the tripod's actually the best option for being out and about, that's for sure. They also, of course, as this thing does, they compact down very small tripods, so much easier to carry around with you when you're on the go. So how does it mount on? Well, at this stage I've got it mounted on with this very simple system here. I've got a little Arco Swiss bracket, and I can just simply put that in and out as I need to. If I need a quick exchange of mounting, I can do that very quickly. But I have the 4 Nikon 910 speed lights. Now these are very powerful speed lights, so having 4 of them makes it a very bright light source. Now you might say, well, what's going on? Where's the umbrella? Where's the softbox? I'll get back to that very soon. Right now I've just left it raw so you can actually see the configuration of the items and see what works. But this is actually a very real system. What you're seeing now is I'm using these little soft diffusion bulbs that go over the harsh speed light, and of course I'm using a Selens system. So if I wanted to use, I use the same system for when I'm using my coloured gels. As you can see there, you can have a gold filtered coloured gel and use that if I want for backlighting. So that's a great choice. The one system operates everything. Plus I can also use these nice diffusion bubbles, and that of course gives a soft light. Now what's the advantage of using these sort of soft diffusion bubbles rather than a proper screen and a proper softbox? It's the wind resistance factor. When we're talking about being out on site here, maybe you're in a garden or open and exposed area, it could be quite windy. You've got a big 120mm softbox or umbrella, that thing's going to blow over at the first gust of wind. No matter how much weight you put on it, you can't guarantee it. Or you've got to have a staff member constantly just holding it down to make sure it's safe, and that's not convenient either, is it? So by having it on a raw system like this and have some diffusing bubbles, because the lights are in fact in a circular pattern anyway, what you'll find is you'll get a beautiful soft light glowing in that direction anyway. So I found this is a great way on a windy day where you can have a lot of light power, but at the same time have it soft, because you can turn these down. Being that there's no thick diffusion for them to punch through, instead of having them on full power, you can have these 4 at half power or quarter power and get a nice soft light diffused onto the person or the subject, whatever it may be. So yeah, these idea of these little diffusion domes are great because of the portability and the wind resistance factor when you're out and about. Still gives you enough broadness and light without being an issue with blowing over or danger to anyone. And that's actually a big factor. I've had several times soft boxes and that almost blow over and cause people an injury and or lose a lot of expensive equipment just because I'm not prepared properly. So this is actually a real and practical option, and it's very quick and easy to set up. I fast forwarded it just because I don't want to waste your time. The only bit of tooling you might need is some sort of a screwdriver, because the mounts that I've chosen to put on these are not the mounts they give you. The mounts they give you with the system are these little plastic brackets, and they're actually pretty good. Like, they actually function. Don't think I'm rubbishing them and saying that this company's crap or anything like that. No, I bought it because I know it's a great system. But what happens is when you mount these to the little frames that they have, there's no real way of locking. It's just a tension thing. So you slot the speed light in, and with a big heavy speed light and with the flash accessories as well, what happens is that I was just concerned that they might fall out. They could just slide out, especially if they're being jiggled around or moved about from point to point. I wasn't satisfied that that would hold it when I'm moving around. In a studio type situation where you just put the light there and you pretty much leave it in one spot, these would be no issue. They would be fine. They're strong enough. They would do a good job. But for my application moving around, I wanted something a lot stronger. So what I've done here is I've chosen these screw-in metal brackets that I can actually tension, and this way I can, when I want to tighten them up, I get the screwdriver slot in there and give them a good crank, and I know now that steel is gripping the steel bracket on the flash, and there's no way they're coming off. I'm never going to have to worry about them sliding out and dropping to the ground. So that's the only reason I made that minor change. So it's only the bracket here I've changed, not the whole system. Now what do I think is really cool about this? Well, not only for the fact that you get 4 speedlights to utilise, which is of course pretty awesome, but I like the fact you have options in your mounting. Like for example, if you want to, you can extend your flash like this, and it's not a big deal to do it. Let me just see here. Here we go. I'll just loosen this little button off that they give you. Just a bit of loosening. Want to be careful not to disassemble the system. Here we go. And you can push it in like that, and then it has a little locking clip in it, and when you tighten it back up, it'll slot in and be extremely secure in that position. And so you do that with all these speed lights, for example. There we go. And so you can see the principle that I've got going on here, where you can now have a very, very strong concentrated burst of light in any direction you should want. So you can imagine doing photography like this, where you're doing maybe macro photography, or you just need a spotlight on someone to create a particular effect, but you're getting a massive power and generation of light now. It's all coming directly in one spot. Now obviously I've got these 4 diffusers which will soften that light a little bit and make it a bit more tolerable on the subject, but at the same time, if you want power, then this is going to give you heaps of power. And did you see the flexibility there? I went from a nice broad, wide option for lighting to a nice concentrated beam, and I didn't have to get a new rig. It's the same rig, just a little bit of an adjustment in the buttons, and there you go, you're off and running. And it was this feature here that it was most attractive to me, the fact that you could alter it around and change it to have concentration of light when you want it or not. Do you need these little items here? No, you don't have to use the diffusers at all. I have them just to show you that that's an option that you can provide. If you want the speed lights raw for maximum power, then you can do that as well. So that's a great option, and I really like it. So here we are again, guys. I've just re-established it back to the broad light source configuration. Now I do have my Godox Octo box umbrella here. This is very useful. It's 120 mil, so it's quite large, and it's about 5 foot diameter. I'm going to fit it up there. You can see you've got 2 holes here, one for a thicker or thinner stem on the umbrella. What I'm going to do is I'll mount it up for you and show you how it all works, but it takes a few seconds, so I'll just speed on to that, okay, and save you waiting. So hey guys, how you going? As you can see, I've got the umbrella set up now, and it's obviously about filling the room. It's so big, so it's not really practical to put something like that in a small room, but for illustrating purposes, that's what I'm doing. I just wanted to prove to you that yes, you can actually fit it through these umbrella holes. You can have as large as an umbrella as you like, and of course now these lights are really going to fill that up. So there's several options. Now I have my screen here. I can easily put that over and just have a diffused light by using the flashes bare. Or another option that I actually prefer to do again is to use these domes. Now the domes aren't essential, right? You don't have to have them, don't have to use them on at all, but I do like them because I think it's an extra layer of diffusion. So that's always good. So you've got so much power with 4 speed lights, especially 910s, Nikon lights, that you can afford to use the diffusion as much as you like to give a nice beautiful glow, but still have all the power you could imagine you ever need. And so there we have it. So that just shows you how you can have a wonderfully big soft box with lots of power and grunt, and that'll be an excellent option for you whether you use it in a studio or you use it out on site. Now obviously this is going to be a wind hazard. You'd have to pick a day that it was either very soft in wind or you were secluded away from it so it didn't blow over should you be outside. But for inside use this is amazing. And of course sample images will come. I'll be using this quite a bit next weekend actually. I've got a little function to do with some young ladies doing dance videos, and I'll be doing video for them and doing some photos as well. So when I do that, it's Melody Parade is the group, a lovely bunch of young ladies, and I'll take some photos and some videos, and I'll show you this actually unit in operation. I'll give you some sample photos from next weekend when I use it. But I've just bought the unit, so I haven't had much chance to use it as yet, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think it'll be a great option. But the purpose of it was to show you what can be done. Yes, and just one other option I wanted to bring up with this too was if you didn't want to put the screen on because there's sufficient diffusion perhaps with these bubbles here, what you can actually do for another option is simply put, if we just undo this a little bit here, if I put this forward and we just change the tactic slightly, We'll just get the zip down there so that it's sealed. What we can do is you can have a different tactic. The tactic being, excuse me, there we go. That's what I was trying to achieve. If I spin all those around, and you can see your option here that you can actually bounce the light from the silver screen forward, and that's giving you a softer diffusion too. But it also makes the light directional, because you can have it, like I would have it as far forward as I could like this, give it much bounce scope for the light as possible with those diffusion domes bouncing in every direction, and that way you can still have a directional soft light with heaps of power, but now you can actually access your lights. And this can be really useful, not using a screen, for the advantage of being able to change batteries, settings, check things are all working and so on, and see that they're still functional. So when you're taking a whole lot of photos, it's very nice to be able to access these things and just check batteries without ripping that screen off. A, it makes a lot of noise and draws attention, but secondly, it's just a nuisance to put on and off all the time if you need to be accessing your speedlights. So I just thought this is another option that is very useful. You're still going to get, because it's like the big dome shape, it is still going to project the light forward on your subject. It still will be diffused because you're using these bubbles to diffuse it. It's bouncing off a metallic area, so it's going to come forward, and you'll find that you'll get a nice soft light too. But the advantage is you can access your gear really quickly and change modifiers fast as well without ripping those screens on and off. So that's just another option I thought I'd run you through. Hope you find this useful.
When we get lost in